Welcome to the Quantum Awakening podcast, where we invite you to embark on a profound exploration of conscious evolution, human transformation, DNA upgrades, and the harmonious fusion of science and spirituality. Guiding you through this enlightening journey are your dynamic hosts, Sharon Milne Barbour and Amanda Bowden. With their extensive knowledge and expertise, they will serve as your trusted leaders of knowledge. Sharon, with her deep spiritual insight and celestial race knowledge, will shed light on the mystical aspects of your existence. Meanwhile, Amanda will share her expertise around manifesting, mind-body-soul connections, and how science and psychology are intertwined with spirituality. Join us on a transformative journey to enhance your perspective and to bring you enlightenment.
Hey guys, so we're back with another special episode, and today we've got Chris Barbour, and he's here to talk about how losing his sight has affected his life's path and where he's going now as an artist.
Hello.
Hey, so
Hello.
oh yeah, I forgot about Sharon.
Oh God, don't forget about me, guys. I'm so a must.
So that we got like an in-group joke going on, haven't we? So like Sharon's number one. For some reason I'm number two. I think Christopher should be number two, but he's number three. And if it wasn't for Chris, then we wouldn't have the podcast. So like we're really grateful for that. But today is all about you.
Yeah, well, I'm usually behind the computer, behind the systems making it all happen. But today, reluctantly, I'm on the other side of it all. It's quite interesting because this is a subject that I've not really talked about and pretending it's not happening for the last
10 years.
10 years. So to talk about it now is could be quite difficult, but we'll see how it goes.
I think it's really courageous.
I do as well, because obviously Chris is my husband and I've been on the journey with him. So do you want to start because you were a qualified graphic designer?
Yeah, I was. Well, I think I had a reasonably successful career. I've awards for my graphic design, and everything was going along fine. But things were a bit sort of wanted to do a bit more painting. So this is quite interesting. You need to be careful what you ask for because that's what you get. So I said to Sharon one day, it'd be nice if I had more room, more time to paint. Because although I'd drawn a lot, I'd never painted before. So she said, well, I'll ask your guides. So I did. And then, thank you very much, a few weeks later, eyesight goes, can't drive, can't work, can't use the computer, but I've got loads of time to paint.
Yeah, that makes me feel pretty bad, actually. 'Cause I think it was just like a conversation without thinking, but actually manifestation is a very powerful tool. But it was on your path this to happen.
Yeah, it was a very black time because, I'm working, I'm driving, I'm, bringing in the money. One day, next day, I'm not bringing in the money, I'm not driving, and I can't really do anything. It was difficult.
We couldn't see a journey through it, could we? There was no light at that time to see where we were going with it.
I felt it was in a race. I wanted to paint, but the chance of me still anything was quite slim. So I think I asked my guides, can you give me some breathing space to actually bring in some money somehow? When I sold my motorbike, which was a bit depressing, but that's when I think Sharon's brother suggested that I call the RNIB, which they were absolutely brilliant. They put me in all the right directions and really took the financial strain off me anyway, and allowed me to breathe a little bit and get my paintbrushes out.
Yeah, it was, you suffered with quite bad depression, didn't you, for a few months until that sort of point, and then things started to get better, and there was sort of hope in the journey, wasn't there?
Like I can imagine, not that I've experienced this myself, but different things, but the grief that would come with it, because at that time you were kind of losing a way of life, and I guess a bit of your identity as well, because it's finding a new way, a new path of moving forwards as well.
It was quite difficult because I was freelance, and when you freelance, you're always like every hour you want to be billable, so you're constantly trying to do things, and then all of a sudden there was no billable hours. I couldn't really go back to do what I was doing, and for me then it was a case of trying to take the stress triggers out of my life and try and move forward, because although I'd lost some sight then, there was a chance that I could lose even more. With high blood pressure and that sort of stuff. So it was a few months of actually sort of stripping everything back, just the stupid triggers which people would laugh at, but for me they were quite important. And once they were removed, then life got a little bit better.
And the funny thing is, on the journey, I elevated my business to help with money, but you actually didn't start painting.
No.
And then I did ask permission yesterday to tell this story. Chris was not painting, someone was holding him back. So I took myself off to a retreat day, and it was about manifesting and everything. And I'd come to the point where I thought I'd have to stop my spiritual business and growth to concentrate on Chris. And we did this day, and the one thing I didn't put down as a barrier was Chris. And then I realised after we'd done all these rituals and whatever was going on at this workshop that I hadn't. And then I ended up outside feeling quite lost, and somebody came up to me who I knew really well, and I explained it to them, and they said, well, you can't stop your spiritual journey, you need to discard what's holding you back. I thought, I can't discard my husband. So I went home and then sort of gave it a week to digest it, and I took Chris out for dinner down at the local pub. Do you remember?
Yeah.
And I said to Chris and talked to him about the workshop, and I told him what had happened, and I said to him, what is it you want? How do you feel? And he said to me, I feel you're moving forward and I'm not, which was what was happening. So I said, what is it you want to do? And he says, I want to paint. So I said to him, why aren't you painting? And he said, fear of failure. So it was quite a prominent moment. So I said, well, only you can get over that. So again, I went on another retreat a couple of weeks later, and we got to the Saturday afternoon and I put my phone back on, and we hadn't really talked about it again, had we? And then this picture came through on my phone, and it was a painting of my dog Boyd, and I just burst into tears because I realised he'd made the breakthrough and he'd done the painting, his first painting.
Oh, wow.
So do you want to describe how you paint with your vision? How
Yeah,
you managed to create those beautiful paintings you do?
Well, people say they're beautiful, but I'm never happy with them. But that's another issue.
Hang on. Before we go forward with this, right, I've come in because we record this in your living room, and if you could see on video right now the pictures that this man, Chris, paints, like he's painted a picture of their dog, Milo, and it's absolutely amazing, and the colours are so vibrant, and I think you're amazing in that area.
Well, thank you very much. Because I've got lots of gaps in my vision, it's very difficult for me to see things as a whole, and I have to scan images by moving my head around to actually get the full image. So when I'm painting, I'm very much concentrating on one part, and I work on that, and I channel through my guides, which maybe we'll come to in a little bit, and so I don't very often see the whole painting until I stop, take a picture and look at the picture, which I can see the whole thing, and then I can understand the bits that I have been painting. It's like, oh, I paint that bit there, oh, I can see what that bit is now. So that's a bit odd. And as I channel, well, I think I channel from my guides. The channel always tells
Yes,
me all
you
that. I struggle to accept that, not because it's not happening, it's just because that's the way I am. Sometimes I just paint. I don't even know what paint I'm putting on the canvas. It's coming off the palette, going where it needs to go, and I just stop painting when actually all the paint's gone, or it's all dried up, or I feel like I've done enough.
So it kind of sounds like you're following your intuition as well, which is coming off your guides and helping you.
God, they're guiding the hand.
Yeah.
They guide
So
the
you're
hand.
trusting yourself and the
Yes,
process that you've been learning, and the outcomes are amazing.
I try and pick the right brush. In fact, my golden rule for painting is to always use a paintbrush that's too big,
I love it.
then it stops you actually getting into detail. Because I was a graphic designer, that was all about detail, about being pixel perfect. So when I used to paint, I'd get it into detail way too early, and my whole point about my paintings is to try and keep them loose and keep them fresh. So big brush stops you getting into hairs and freckles and things like that.
Nice.
And I think also during this journey of the vision loss, there was a time when I ran a spiritual church pre-COVID, and in that time you used to take the sketchbook with you and you started to draw passed over relatives. Some could take them, and a lot of the times they could take them, some couldn't. And I think that was a prelude to your guides channeling through you, just because you just stopped drawing. You didn't have a picture in your head, did you? It just created it on the paper.
Well, for, I don't know, 6 or 7 months, I was doing this, and it was quite successful. And the less I thought about it, the better it was.
Yeah.
And the more I thought about it, the worse it got. But there's been quite a few situations where I've just sketched something, not really even thinking about what I'm drawing. And some of the details that have come through have been quite amazing, and people have recognised them from their loved ones.
That's the same with any spiritual development, and trance work is the same. You want to allow your guides to help you and guide you. The more trust you have, the more you give over to them, the more they can communicate and guide you.
Yeah.
So that makes sense.
And then it's just reminded me, because like when I first met Sharon, and I can't remember what event we were at, and I remember you did a drawing for me as well, and I've still got it in the house, and I didn't know who it was to begin with, but it was my neighbour in the end, because he'd passed over and I didn't know who it was, and then it made sense because I kept it.
Right.
And the detail that you had put into it, and I could recognise who it was, and then just hearing that is reminding me. I've still got the picture actually.
And I think maybe if I'd have worked harder on it, I could have gone back there. But I know I see the amount of time that Sharon particularly puts into this, and I haven't got the patience to actually do it.
I think that was a journey for them to work with your energies and to show. Because when we do development with our guides, every time you work with them in that intention, they learn to work with you. So that time period when you did those sketches in that energy at the churches, because it was also when I went to platform at the churches you did it.
Yeah.
And I think that was a time period where they worked with you to enhance that connection.
I think it gives me a bit more confidence in my painting, because it's almost like the guides will sort it out for me. Because every painting you go through a stage where you're quite confident in what you're doing, and then you paint it, and then you're like, no, this is rubbish, I'm going to stop and just paint over it. And it's just pushing through that stage and trying to let them help you and get where you want to be.
So can I ask, going back to where you see your art in pieces, so like when you've finished it as a whole, how does it feel like to see the whole picture for the first time to you?
A lot of the times I don't believe that I've done it. Well, you could argue that I haven't, but yeah.
That is channeling then. You're definitely channeling.
I'm looking at a picture now of a giraffe that I did a while ago, which is just over the way, and there's a section on its neck which is like a slightly paler blue, and when I was painting it I thought, well, this is a bit weird, but now when I sit and look at it, it's obvious because it's just a highlight that's coming from a different direction. But it's things like that were quite amazing, when you're painting things that look a bit weird, but actually no, when you stand back and look at it, it all makes sense.
And I guess it kind of goes, sorry, my voice going. So I'm kind of being taught at the minute that like when you do the things that you love and enjoy, and then you've gone through the process and then you're at the end of it, and you get that moment of satisfaction as well. It's like, oh my god, I've done something, it's brilliant. And it kind of sounds like that.
Yeah, it's like I take a picture, go away and look at the picture, and there's like 3 or 4 stages of the overnight test or the week test where you have to make sure that it's finished or not finished, because that's the problem, is when is it finished? Sometimes it looks good when you just slapped a couple of bits of paint on, and if you overwork it just kills it. So you just need to know when to stop. Chad's got a hand up.
I just wanted, sitting there listening to you, I just wondered that, you know, we have these things happen on our paths, and it's lessons to learn from for deep spiritual reasons. But as the human sitting there, what's been your most surprising lesson that you think you've learned from the limited vision and creating this art? What would you say to another artist in your position?
Well, it's all about having confidence in what you're doing. But I think that the interesting thing, which is doesn't really answer your question, but one of the things that I realised was, I think I went to the doctors, and she said to me, or the nurse, "What are you doing this afternoon?" And I thought about it, and I said for the first time, actually, I'm going to do nothing, which was such opposite from when I was freelance, when I was trying to cram payable minutes into every hour. So the fact that I could then just sit back and do nothing actually was a major step for me. And then I didn't have to worry about not earning money. I didn't have to worry about I was just watching daytime television or going for breakfast and drinking beer. No, that doesn't happen.
So if somebody came to you tomorrow who's visually impaired, wants to do art, how would you guide them in that, from what you've learned?
Well, I think it's all about just having confidence to do what you want to do. And I mean, you could say that what happened to me was quite bad, but actually it's brought lots of things into my life that probably wouldn't have been there. And I always joke, but the biggest one is that I never drive back from the pub anymore.
Yeah, it's me.
So would you say, like, within your transition of going from that graphic designer to an artist, would you say that you've had the opportunity now to stand back and reflect on moments of your life to go towards something you enjoy more?
Yeah, I think before it was all about racing to earn money, and now it's more about just doing what I want to do. Doing a painting that I think that was the difference, when even early on I was still trying to make paintings that would be saleable. And I don't know, about a year ago it's like, no, that's not what it's about really. It's about painting what I want to paint because I want to paint it, and not worry about who's going to like it, who's not going to like it.
So maybe this is more heart passion based.
Yes, yeah.
Which is where we're going towards at the minute with the Unity.
I remember when you did that, because that's when your art style changed again.
Yeah.
And you went down the spirit animal route, and your whole style changed as you released. One of
the directions that I've gone down is the AI route, which a lot of people frown at it, a lot of people don't like it, a lot of people hate it. Well, both of us, we've embraced it. It's given me so much opportunity. In my paintings, and one I'd say specifically was a wolf painting. If you look round at people's wolf paintings, they all look the same. And the reason that is because they're all taken from the same reference. There are only about 4 or 5 really nice wolf paintings out in the marketplace, so people copy them. But I could use AI and make new reference. I can work hard to get the layout or the reference that I want, so that helps me to then create an original painting. I find it difficult to paint out of my head. I find it difficult to paint without having reference. So using the AI, I can put some time in up front, I can make the picture, and then my only thing that I do is that I try and transfer the general proportions of the painting onto the canvas. Now some people grid up, or you can trace through and put it straight onto the canvas, which is what I do sometimes. But because I can't see the whole painting, I'll never guarantee that I get the right bits in the right place. So that's the only thing that I do particularly.
Well, I think you create your style. You watch Portrait Artists of the Year. These are people without vision impairment. Some of them do it from eye, some of them do it from grid. They all have their different ways and styles, and you adapt it to how you are as a person and what works best for you. And it's for no other artist to criticise that. If they do, it's ego. It's it's your ways, your way. Look what you produce from it.
Yeah, I also like to paint large, because obviously that helps me with my eyes. But then it's a problem for the same reason, because I can't see the whole canvas. Then I'm not always sure what I'm painting.
Can I ask around the AI, because this coming from my perspective, I come in at the angle and I was like, oh, people's jobs are going to be lost and blah blah blah. But actually, from where you guys are coming in as artists and creatives, like coming in from the perspective of actually, like you said, embracing it and working with it is a totally different mindset.
I use it, but like you use a computer, like you use a pencil. It's a tool, and it helps me visualize my ideas and get them into a stage where I can actually translate them into a painting.
I think AI is absolutely bloody amazing. And I tell you, our guides love it. So I said to Chris, can you paint me 44 inspirational guidance cards, which was quite a task to do.
Massive.
So I said to him, they'd been written. So I said to Chris, you said to me, what about AI? And I said, I don't know. And so you were on one computer one day and I was on the other. We got our guides there. Our guides were with us. We put the word of each card in. We got a style of painting we enjoyed or liked, and they all agreed. Everybody agreed in the guides. And then you started doing them, and you'd have 4 pictures. So I was tuning into my guides, and they were picking the image they wanted for the cards. And we did that over the space of 3 or 4 hours. And I know that our guides can influence AI, and they can influence in writing as well, as I've experienced it in my books.
And I'm starting to go down this angle and embracing it as well.
Yeah.
Because a picture came up, I was looking for my book, and then I was like, you just know when it's the right one, and I turned around and seen 222, and I was like, oh, thank you.
We also, it's interesting in that, because Sharon says the guides are influencing the AI. I'm always a healthy skeptic. She's giving me a really bad look now. But it's like setting the intention that we want the guides to help us with the prompt for the picture. And interestingly, I don't know if Sharon knows this, but we do this. She does it, and I follow it. When we want the guides to interact with the picture, we put the word sparkle in it.
Yeah.
And it's almost like, guides on board, come on.
Yeah.
We want some input.
So I've just so when I do my flow art, I intention as sparkle, and I'm just doing a new range of pyramids to sell, and they've got sparkles in the text about them.
Yeah.
So they're all channeled.
Like my place.
Well, we have to, putting it from the guides' point of view of how they're helping humanity ascend, they channel through us in many ways, through art, music, writing for books. Every day we're getting channeled inspiration, ways to help us. Many people don't realise it, but it's really key, and they'll bring their message through in whatever way they can. Even looking at a bright painting of the giraffe over there, that would spark colours, spark things in people. Colours energy. There's a frequency. So
just to cut in, I just been reminded, like, remember the time you sent me a picture of a phoenix?
yes.
And then the what do you call it, light coded, isn't it, with all the detail in it
Yes,
as well.
yeah.
It's channeled from the guides,
Yeah.
and it sparks a whole lot of research for me. So there's what do you call them, light language within the channeled paintings as well.
Yes,
that will
it's
spark
coded to
inspiration.
trigger different things in people, because when they're light coded, the guides with that person who's looking at that image will know what the light code is within the image,
subconsciously.
and the human will have a deep ancient code. It's in the DNA as well. Then you've got your soul and higher self connection. So there's a massive and ethereal, and they can, without the 3D human mind realizing, they connect with that painting, and it's going to give them something they'll walk away with that day. And it's the same with crystals. There's energy and light coding in crystals. When you read a book, things resonate with you. There's certain things that will pop out at you. The same with oracle cards.
So you could kind of say that perhaps when you're channeling your art, that the person who's going to buy this painting is already contracted to do it on a soul level because it's personally made for them.
That's a way of looking at it.
That's a bit heavy for me, that is.
But then we do prints of the paintings that go out to the public, and there'll be something they see in that they're drawn to. Because I have to say, why did you go towards spiritual animals, spirit guides? What drew you to that?
I think what I was always interested in because of your input into the spirituality, and I did a series of paintings about how Mother Nature was claiming back the earth. We actually looked round at found rubbish and turned the rubbish into art, and it seemed natural. And that you sent me on a meditation to find my animal guide, which was a marmoset. I found a picture of it. I knew it was real because I didn't know what a marmoset was. But
I was going to say, what is a marmoset?
It's a tiny little monkey.
Oh, they're so cute. They're very cute.
Yeah. So I feel now when I paint, the marmoset is in my top pocket.
Yeah. There you go.
And
do I need to say any more? Job's done.
And that really sort of took me down this route of other animals. And in the format that I paint them, they're quite large and quite striking. And I really sort of got into a theme which I just loved. So I think there are more spiritual animals to be painted yet.
Yeah, the reason we have spiritual animals and they're presented to us as animals because it's a grounding energy where we're in this because we're in a world of 3D, 2D, 1D, and we're elevating to 4 and 5. So they're bringing in this energy level, and it's presented to us as animal guides. Because if you actually look at the animal kingdom on Earth, they don't have hate of each other. They might have the natural hunters and killers, but they kill just to feed. They're not killing for the sake of it. They wouldn't, most of them aren't like that. So you have to look at it as a deeper level from that point of view.
And they've been brought in as gifts from other places.
Some of them are from very highly ascended planets, like the dolphins, the elephants.
And like, at some point, I know that there'll be a painting of you of a phoenix.
Yes.
I'll tell you, I've been working on a phoenix for quite a while, but I haven't found the reference that does it for me yet. I know when I see it, I literally have probably made about 50 pictures of phoenixes, and one day there'll be one there that's the right one.
So, for the listeners listening to this podcast, what would you like them to take away today from
I think
what you've experienced in your lives with this?
It was a really black time when it all happened, and it could have been the end. I could have just spiraled down into that a pit of depression, but actually it was opening for something else. It allowed me other possibilities and other things to do. So it's not the end. There are other things.
There's always hope, isn't there?
Yeah, there's always hope, and you can move on to other things.
I think it's also learning to seek help and not have pride.
Yeah, I mean,
because we'd never asked for anything in our working lives. We'd always looked after ourselves.
Like I said at the start, I've not really. I don't really talk to people about this.
No.
And I found it quite difficult. I mean, I know when we applied for some of the benefits, it was quite traumatic.
It was very hard for us.
It was very hard.
Yeah.
Can I just add that, going back to being brave and everything, because I think there's more stigma around men and being able to talk openly about emotions as well because of old generational beliefs. And I just think it's really amazing that you've sat here with us today and shared all this with us, because it's going to help other people and our listeners who are listening.
Yeah.
And that's the aim of where we're going with this, isn't it?
One of the things I did early on is I joined a men's shed. And I know within one day I've been down the doctor's now for a prostate check, because that's what we talked about.
Yeah.
And that really helps me. I talk to them. They'll probably not really want to listen sometimes. But
And you're in the art club there, and that's been really good for your confidence as well. And,
yeah.
and it gets you meeting other people out of our home environment.
Yeah, so we have an
key.
art club, and sometimes all I do is just sit down there and talk. I don't paint a great deal, but that's quite nice.
So, like, last part, how do you see yourself moving forwards as you're evolving and adapting? It's quite a big question.
Yeah. There's obviously the painting. There's another part we're not even talking about is music, because
Okay.
that seems quite weird that you lose some sight and your hearing comes, or the music
Senses.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's it, senses coming to you. So that's quite important as well, and bringing music and art together is something that I've looked at for quite a while, and
That'd be
not really
amazing,
worked that
yeah.
out yet. Whether that's a collaboration with someone else or whether it's me, I'm not sure.
Okay.
But it'd be nice to get some recognition for my art, really.
And all the music that's on Sharon's meditations,
That's
you've created it, haven't you?
I created
Yeah,
that as well.
everything, yeah.
So that's a passion that's came back from when I was quite young. I mean, there was a 20 or 30 year gap where I didn't write a word or a letter or a note, sorry.
And he did the Christmas Bengal Rose song,
Yeah.
which is,
We did have an AI help with that,
yeah.
which is something that amazed me as
Because
well.
you was the human doing it.
I was, yeah.
So, like,
Okay, cool.
if we wanted to find out, or the listeners wanted to find out more about you and what you do, where can they find you?
My website is cimbart.co.uk,
Yeah.
and interestingly, as I was a web designer, it's not the best website.
I'm not poking me in the eyes.
Yeah.
now.
Does the job.
But at least that's got all the links to all my other things as well on the bottom, the Facebook and stuff like that. So
Fab.
We also, at the Spiritual Hub in Newport in Wales, we do sell his art and prints, and it's also on the SD shop Bengal Rose Healing. So there's quite a lot of sources, and Redbubble.
and Redbubble, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, one of the things that I did quite early on was put some of my work onto t-shirts. And that's quite interesting. It's quite easy to do. So anyone's interested, get in contact with me and I'll tell you how to do it.
And you've got merch, haven't you? Because you're the second part of the Bengal Rose Healing Hub, because you've got merch as well, haven't you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
We've
well,
both worked on.
we took Sharon's brand and put it onto everything: mugs,
Yeah. Yeah.
clocks,
It's pretty cool.
cushions.
Great. Well,
So there you go.
so we hope you guys listen to this, guys and girls, that you gain something from it. And I think whatever the message that's coming through to me today is, whatever happens to you in your life, there is a hope and a light, but you need to sometimes have to ask for that help. And if you haven't got people around you that can support you, it can be hard, I know, but just hold on to that thought. There's always a light out there.
And always keep faith and trust that there is something better to come in.
Yeah.
Because the way that I'm being taught right now is that even though when you go through adversity times that you have, like many others of you have, to look at life as if it's happening for you and not against you, because the universe does work in your favour, and is also not only asking for help from your physical people around you, your team or professionals. It's your guides as
It's your
well,
guides,
isn't it?
yeah. And
That's
the
what they're
funny
there
thing
for.
is, we do have to ask. They will guide us, they will give us a bit of a nudge and a steer, but really we have to set that intention to ask, and they will then listen.
And if, like myself, sometimes you don't know what questions to ask, surrender it over and let them come in with
Yeah.
what you can actually ask them, or they can kind of intervene on your behalf.
And they can give signs through numbers, like how Amanda works. They can give you signs like simple things like feathers, coins, all sorts of signs, whatever suits, whatever feels right for you on your path. So if you're putting your thoughts out for help, they will try to get your attention, that they're listening to you. Because we had this conversation yesterday with somebody about how do they hear our prayers. All prayers are heard, but sometimes it's not right on your path to have what you've asked for. So they will try to give signs back to try and comfort you and allow you to know that they have heard you. So it's always keeping that faith.
Yeah,
You
because
have been heard.
we're here for a reason. That's all
Yeah.
growth and life lessons.
Yeah. Well, cool.
Well, thank you very much.
Well done, number 3.
Yes.
Got through that.
Well done, everybody. Well, yeah, shall we wish Merry Christmas on this one? There'll be one more.
Yeah.
Might have another one before Christmas. Who
Oh
knows?
yeah, we have. We've got one more. before
Yes,
Christmas.
yes. But if something gets in the way, we shall wish it anyway.
Bye.